DNVR Avalanche podcast presented by DraftKings Sportsbook. Use code DNVR when you sign up for a new account to get amazing odds every single day. Rudo, Jesse, and AJ coming at you live the day after Game 1, where the Avs still won it. History has not changed. The final score was still 4-3 in overtime, but we did want to take a look at some of the things the Avs could improve or potentially change heading towards Game 2, as they do have 2 days off. First of all, a little bit of news of the day. Nazem Kadri was skating with a stick, still by himself, but some minor improvements there.
Yeah, he was out there with Andrew Cogliano doing some light stick handling. Not really any shooting, but they were out there getting in some work with Shauna Laird, who is the skills coach who, if you ask anybody within the Avs organization, Jared Bednar, any of the players, a lot of credit goes to Shauna Laird for if you go back over the last few years, anytime the Avs have had injuries, those guys seem to be able to just jump right back into game speed, game action, make an impact right away. And literally to a man, they all attribute that to Shauna Laird and the work he puts in. So, like you said, not out there with the team, really light stick work, with pucks and stuff. But that's a step, and it's encouraging.
I don't think it gives any kind of confidence that either guy will be ready for Game 2, but
No.
definitely by the time they get into Game 3, Game 4, you're there. I think that conversation ramps up. I do wonder how the Shauna Laird effect is going to play in, because he's got a really regimented routine for those guys mapped out on how best to get them prepared to return to a game. And on an accelerated timeline like this, I wonder how many corners do they cut? What do they prioritize? What do they say? Okay, here's the stuff that we really have to figure out. Here's the stuff that we could probably leave to the side and move on from, and just hope that we get the best. Because trying to get through that part of it, I think is going to be an important piece of getting both guys ready. And let's not pretend like Cogliano is not an important part of that.
Yeah.
Oh, he's massive. He's been huge this playoffs.
No doubt about it. On both sides, it makes their forward depth a significant amount better.
Well, you put those two guys into your lineup, and then two of the guys that played 6 minutes for you last night,
Are on the
Newhook,
bench.
Abe, Kubel, or Sturm. One of those guys, two of those guys are coming out of your lineup, and one guy's left over, and it's a little easier to kind of work around. So, I think, I think that the Shauna Laird part of the recovery process is just an interesting wrinkle. The way that they ramp things up and they get guys ready, and then they just don't have the time unless they go through that process. They stay true to it, and they're like, well, maybe he comes back in Game 5 or 6. So I'm
expecting him in 3 or 4. I really do. I would be surprised if Kadri didn't get in games 3 or 4.
Yeah, I think for me, I'm looking at 3, and I'm like, boy, it would be next Monday.
I think you're going to get, if you get to Game 4, I think Kadri's basically going to say, look, I'd play with one hand at that point.
So my guess would be, because to whichever one of you made the point of, it doesn't give you a ton of confidence that he'll be back tomorrow. But I really do. I think Game 3, that's when I think you'll start to see those guys take morning skate.
Yeah.
See how they're feeling. Kind of like AJ said, ramp it up. I think some of that Shauna Laird stuff, I think they will cut some corners, because you've only got so many games to go.
Yeah.
And you don't necessarily need them maybe ramped all the way up. The way that you normally do it. It's just get them game ready, get them able to take contact.
Does situation play any role here? Like, if the Avs go out and win Game 2 and they're up 2-0 going into Tampa, does that make the Avs say, maybe, we can give Kadri an extra game?
Give him the extra day or two. Yeah, maybe. Honestly, maybe.
Okay. Yeah,
because let's say if they go out and they lose games 2 and 3 and they're down 2-1, I think the urgency ramps up, right?
Yeah, for sure.
He's feeling it, they're feeling it, where they're like, oh man, we really missed this guy.
I was going to say, I think a lot of it, I honestly don't know, in my opinion, how much that changes it. Maybe if you're up 2-0, but like still, this is just a Tampa team that like they were down 2-0 in the last series and rattled off 4 straight. I think the Avs, like, they're out ahead in this series, and what we've seen them do time and time again, with the exception of like 7 minutes in Game 5 against the Blues, is not let teams up off the mat.
Yeah.
If they can get out to a 2-0 lead, and that is a tall order, Tampa's going to be, buzzing tomorrow. If you can get that out to a 2-0 lead, I don't know if that eases any pressure, because you cannot let Tampa start getting up off the mat at all, or you're kind of fighting an uphill battle. So it'll be really interesting to see how they handle it. It's also going to be interesting to see, like, you mentioned a guy like Newhook didn't play much last night. How much more effective will Kadri be? Maybe quite a bit more, but it's just, that's going to be another thing to keep an eye on, is how effective are these guys once they actually get back.
Yeah, I think we can pretty safely assume it's not going to be all that close to 100%.
Yeah.
But 70, 80, or will it be more like 50 or 60? I don't know.
Like, for me, especially Cogliano, if that guy can get in on the forecheck, have an active stick, and just make some kind of basic, passes, chip plays off the wall, that's like 95% of what you want from Andrew Cogliano anyways. Kadri, maybe you're missing some of the shooting threat. But if he can still get down in around the net, again, get the forecheck going, good active stick in the neutral zone, Kadri's very valuable in the D zone. If you can just do that, then I think you're pretty happy with what you can get, and just kind of punt on some of that goal scoring.
Yeah, so look, the fourth line, obviously, last game just didn't play very many minutes. So there are some sample size issues here, but they did not perform particularly well when it comes to possession metrics. And if you get Kadri back, you drop him into the lineup and everyone moves down a spot, you give Cogliano back, and that directly sets up into that fourth line, right? That's a direct change that you could see, in theory, improve some of those numbers for you. So will be interesting to see. Assumption being, just based on timeline, that Kadri should be a little bit closer than Cogliano to coming back, given they had similar surgeries, but we'll see.
Kadri's was just a little quicker.
Yep. Anyway,
it is an interesting point, though, that you're asking less of Cogliano.
Yep.
Than you are of Kadri, and you're just like, okay, well, even if it's a broken hand, even if broken whatever, finger, thumb, whatever it ends up, whatever it ended up being like, okay, well, you may not be able to shoot, but just go out there and hold your stick and forecheck and and skate fast and be a smart player and be disruptive and do all that stuff and just try to make the most of it in terms of like a shooting situation. But with Kadri, it's like it's a big part of it. You're like,
gotta need you to score, bud.
It certainly needs you making skill plays with the puck to some degree. You can't just punt on that.
Yeah. If he can be distributing and stuff, and like that is also one where if Kadri got back into the lineup and he got an opportunity like Burakovsky did last night in overtime, wide open in the slot, or late in the game, like that's one where your adrenaline would kick in, and I'm sure you wouldn't even feel it as you're shooting that puck. Yeah. You get back to the bench and you'd probably want to rip your hand off to make the pain go away. But you just hope that if it's one of those things where if you get in that moment and you have a chance to score a goal in the Stanley Cup Final, you kind of, you hear guys say it all the time, I blacked out a little bit there, whatever. You just hope that that's like kind of you just kind of blacked out, got the shot off, everything worked out, and then he had to Yeah, take a 12-hour ice bath.
Yeesh. That's a
Chops his hand off and dusts
Yeah.
the stub
like,
into an ice bath and is
God
like,
with
"Please."
this.
Bro, if Comfort keeps going to the front of the net the way he always does, that dude's gonna need a 2-week-long ice bath by the end of this series. That his first shift, he wore like 4 cross checks,
Yeah.
2 punches, like 3 slashes, and he's just like, just going to the net. Just another day at the office. Woo.
Yeah. He took
Ooh-wee.
at least one big shot too.
Yeah, he got beat up last night.
So, I mean, hey, it takes some of that to get the job done. Sometimes you need a little bit of something like that. So,
Well, we talk about the war of attrition,
Yep.
and right now Tampa Bay's in better position than Colorado is in that regard, and those two guys coming back into the lineup is something that would help Colorado kind of close that gap a little bit.
for sure. And, it will be interesting to see how this plays out across the course of the rest of the series because, the cliche is every single dude out there has something. None of them are 100%. So we're going to see how things decline or get better for any individual player over the next week and a half, 2 weeks. Should be fun. Should be something to really dive into. But I do want to start talking about game 1 specifically here. I'm curious what your number one thing is that the Avs can do better.
Boy, Darcy Kemper could stop a puck or two.
Oh, stop. He was fine. He was good last night.
He was good enough. That's for sure.
He's good enough.
Yeah. Which is what you need.
We were good at fine.
He was fine.
That first goal, the Nick Paul goal, I went back and watched it like 100 times last night. And
so stupid.
Can you figure out what happened?
Yeah.
I still don't understand what that puck was doing. And
Dude.
just like Nick Paul botches every move that he makes so badly that the puck takes advantageous bounces the entire way, and you're just like, what?
EJ looked like someone told him, like, hey, that's a grenade behind you, not a puck. Like he looked so confused. Yeah. And again, I was very confused what was happening. Nick Paul looked confused. And yet Darcy Kemper actually tracked what Nick Paul was attempting to do half decently. And the puck just kind of did its own thing without Nick Paul ever even touching it. And then that was one of the weirder goals I've seen in a while.
I really wanted Darcy to come out and just slap that puck into the boards, though. He had time, he could have done it, and instead he was just like, "I'm not leaving this crease. I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it."
Well, he saw
was
EJ
on top of him, and it was like, "What the?"
He saw EJ and Nick Paul swing and miss at that puck 4 times. He was like, "I'm good."
Yeah, that puck hit Nick Paul's and then EJ's stick. 2 times each in a matter of 0.3 seconds.
It was the last one where Paul is like swiping at it and it
whiffs
catches
it
the top
entirely,
the top tip of it. And you're just like, what? It's equal parts. This is absurd. I can't believe that just went in. And hockey is the greatest sport in the world because of dumb shit like this.
You could put Nick Paul there and ask him to repeat that, and he'd never do it again. Not once.
No. and that is the thing. And this, we just had a comment come in the chat. That is another thing. Darcy Kemper it's been 3 weeks since he's played in a game. So I don't know. I had no issue. You want the third one back, sure. But Vasilevsky's got 2 that he probably wants back.
Yep.
You outdueled Andrei Vasilevsky last night.
Yeah.
That and within the scope of that game, he did his job and he made the saves when they needed him in the third and in overtime.
Yeah, and the save that he makes on Kucherov on the power play in the third period.
Was that the one where he went left to right? His left to right?
Yes. I don't think so.
Because he had another one. I believe it was
Kucherov stands on the opposite side.
Yeah, because he's a lefty. Yeah.
Yeah.
He had another one at the beginning or somewhere in the third where he made a really nice save going from his left to his right. getting a blocker on it. Just kind of a nice like reactionary save. Again, you want that third one back. You never like wrist shots from the point getting in, but a lot of traffic in front, and he made the next save. So, but to answer your question, Rudo, like I don't know, like I just think I don't really know if there's anything that I say the Avs need to do better. They just need to continue ramping up what they're doing. Obviously, again, you're trying to limit your mistakes against a team like Tampa. You saw Tampa kind of start running downhill a little bit there in the second. The Avs let it kind of get away from them. A lot of sustained zone pressure there for 5-7 minutes. I think you just want to limit that as much as possible. Tampa is one of the few teams that is as offensively dangerous as the Avs. So if you can just start shortening up those chunks of time that Tampa spends like really, really in your zone, that to me is like my big kind of critique is just shorten up those periods of time so you're not hemmed in your own end for 5 minutes. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and it is interesting because I agree. But also, even when you look at the Avs players last night who got pretty beat up on the Corsi percentages, they really didn't give up that many proper scoring chances. And when it comes to like shot numbers and everything, the only player who finished negative for actual shots on goal was Logan O'Connor, who was 7 for 8 against. So even when they did get those extended zone possession times, Tampa, the Avs did a good job of limiting them for the most part.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that third period, what was it? 5 shots for Tampa in the third?
Yeah.
Like that was
only 4 at 5v5.
That was a great game for the Avs last night because that has been the national talking point against them for years now, right? Oh, high flying offense, they struggle on defense. And throughout these playoffs, you've started hearing that narrative change a little bit. And I thought last night was a great example. Like in the third period, they outplayed Tampa at their own game. Tampa is the defensive heavy, lock it down, keep things to the outside. And the Avs really kind of took that, stuffed it back in their face. And I thought built up some decent momentum heading into overtime. That was why they got out of it as quickly as they did.
Would you say, Jesse, I'm curious just because Rudo and I talked about this game for an hour yesterday.
Right.
But Jesse, would you say that the Avs played their A game last night?
I think I saw some jokes about this on Twitter. I'd say it was pretty close.
Like a B plus A minus.
So okay, this is what I think I saw on Twitter. Someone was saying it was
an
A minus game. Oh, okay.
I didn't see any of this. I'm just curious.
Oh, okay.
We've talked on the pod all year. When Colorado plays a version of its A game, they don't lose very often.
Yeah.
So I'm curious. What you think. In a game where they outshoot Tampa Bay in all 3 periods, they control play really kind of start to finish. They win the even strength battle. They win the special teams battle. Realistically, what more can you ask for from a team if that's not their A game? What is?
So for me, the one thing that I guess this kind of goes back and also answers the question of what could they do better. Tampa did seem to have a little bit better
face-offs. Jesus Christ.
I guess not luck, but like they seem to be a little bit better than what we've seen so far at taking away some of that offense from the D. I felt like Cale Makar wasn't able to get as involved. Now, again, I mean, Bowen Byram sets up that first goal by driving the puck deep, driving into the zone and then continuing to drive to the net. That has kind of become that little play right there has kind of become a staple for the Avs off the rush. Whoa, that's
porn bots are back, baby.
That's such an aggressive bot name. Like, that's not even
jerking cheaper than Tinder.
Yeah. It's like that's not even subtle. Like that's the most obvious bot of all time. But so that's maybe one area where I do feel like again, the Avs defense being able to jump up and really push that play is what makes their offense so hard to handle. So that is one area where I do feel like and again, maybe not ask for more, but you still could see them find another gear. Is getting that D a little bit more involved in the rush, getting them to push the pace a little bit more. I thought Tampa kind of locked down the points a little bit. So I'd put it, somewhere to a B plus. I think they've got room to get better. I think you have a better game out of Nathan McKinnon that you can get. And so I do think there's room for them to continue, like I said, ramping it up, finding another gear. But I think you have to be really, really happy with a lot of the process that you saw last night.
Yep. Cale Makar had 9 shot attempts, and he was involved in 5 scoring chances and had 0 shots on goal.
Hit the net, bud.
Seems unlikely for that to happen again.
Right.
I would say, and I think we've seen this get better throughout every series that the Avalanche have played in these playoffs. At times last night, it felt a little bit too easy for Tampa to get through the neutral zone with speed. And ultimately, the Avs, for the most part, did a good job of limiting Tampa. But you can prevent some of those extended zone possessions that you were talking about, Jesse, if you stop them before they even start in the neutral zone. So I do think you could see the Avs get better there. Again, just based on history. It happened against the Blues. It happened against Edmonton to a lesser extent because it's Edmonton, but it still did happen where the Avs did do a better job of not giving up free stuff through the neutral zone.
I do think that Tampa Bay doesn't play at that kind of pace, and it makes it just a little easier for them to set up their structure. What doesn't make it easier is just the talent that they have.
Yeah.
That they can just make a play, and you're like, well, like, I mean, you look at their second goal last night. It's Kucherov and Plot against Taves and Makar. You're pretty comfortable in that spot, and they just make a play, and you're just
took
like
the L there. Yeah.
All right, there.
Okay. We are brought to you by DraftKings Sportsbook. You can go over there and use code DNVR when you sign up for a new account. Tired of talking about the NBA Finals, so instead, let's talk about the Stanley Cup Final that's going on right now. If you're a new customer and you use the DNVR code, you bet $5 on the final, either team to win their game, and you get $100 in free bets no matter what. You don't even have to be correct. You just bet $5 on a team to win the next Cup Final game. You get $100 in free bets to go reinvest into DraftKings on whatever you want to bet on, whether it be hockey related or not, including same game parlays, which are always fun if you want to spice up the betting, because sometimes you have to when Cale Makar points are now like minus 170 on the app. They need to add something to that to get a little bit better odds. So highly recommend you check out the same game parlays on that one. Of course, you can go bet on other nonsense as well, pretty much any sport under the sun. So download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Be sure to use that DNVR code for new customers to get that $5 for $100 in free bets deal. An official sports betting partner of the Stanley Cup Final. Must be 21 or older. Colorado only. Other terms, restrictions, and conditions apply. To DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. Of course, if you have a gambling problem, call 1-800-522-4700. We're also brought to you by Sexy Pizza, who are hooking us up with some pregame deals. You can go over there and use code DNVRAVS on their website, which is www.sexy.pizza, and you get 15% off your order. So highly recommend you go over to Sexy Pizza and try some of that. It's delicious stuff. We would chipper it on our pregame shows, basically.
We would chipper it? I think you mean Megan would chippers it.
All right, look, there's a lead wood chipper, and then there's like the followers that clean up the scraps, okay?
That pizza gets there, and she goes flying up off of that chair, and she's like, mm-mm.
That's why we get 4 pizzas, all right?
That's
2
right.
for Megan and 2 for everyone else.
That's right. We gotta be able to feed the rest of us while Megan eats.
So go check out Sexy Pizza. They really do have great pizza. Highly recommend. Options for 12, 16, and 18-inch crusts.
Pizza shame. I'm proud of her.
Yeah, none of that is shame. That's like props on getting the pizza. Go over there. Again, the DNVRAVS code will get you 15% off your order. Second period of the DNVR Avalanche podcast presented by DraftKings Sportsbook. As you dive more and more into this game, you You can say the second goal is a great play by Tampa. Obviously, the Avs get the job done and win the game, so you're happy there. But you don't love seeing a 2-goal lead disappear, especially in a stretch of hockey that lasts less than a minute.
How I guess we can get into this. We are getting into this. How concerned are you that lead did disappear the way that it did?
Not very, to be honest
Nope,
with you.
not at all.
So the
Like
three of us are
zero.
kind of in agreement that that's a world-class play, and then that's just one of those goals that you would love to not give that one up, but it's
Right.
I think what makes me feel better about it is when you go and you look at how the Avs responded to the tying goal when it was 3-3, you were like,
Dominated the
okay,
rest of that game, man.
So
Tampa
all right.
Bay is about to make this big push, and it never came. The Avs put the foot on the floor and were the much better team from that moment on. From the Sergachev goal on, they were much better than the Lightning were the rest of the game. And I think that's where you look at it and you're like, I'm not that concerned about it because they can handle that moment.
So I mentioned this last night to someone after the game. You never want to give away leads. You never want to. They're back. You never want to have that happen. In the same way, like what you just mentioned, you want that third goal, that third goal back. But whatever, stuff like that happens. That them tying the game up, I actually almost even kind of feel like it was good for the Avs. Because it did, it seemed to break them out of that small little lull that they fell into there. And they were able to kind of get back on their toes and start pushing the play. It's like, cool, scores even. Now we can kind of go back on the attack. As where if that score stays 3-2, you probably get a big push from Tampa. And at that point, you don't know, Tampa gets a goal late in the third to tie it up, or do they start running downhill? So again, not that I think it was a good thing. Giving up goals is never a good thing, but I did feel like that one kind of broke the Avs out of it a bit, and they were able to get back to what they were doing.
It was interesting because the entire game, the Avs were extremely confident on the forecheck, and it was easy to see how successful they were being there. So balancing that with the defensive end, the Avs really played a pretty darn decent defensive hockey game. Again, Tampa had 23 shots in the game.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard. Yeah. It's hard to look at the Avs and go, well, you really need a whole lot better there.
They gave up in all situations last night 9 high danger chances, 22 scoring chances, and 1.71 expected goals. Those are. If I could take those numbers and guarantee them for the next 3 games, I would.
Every single time.
100%, I would take those chances. Yeah.
Their forecheck. I mean, I tweeted about it last night because I finally had to just turn the TV off and go to bed. But I was trying to rewatch the entire game last night. I wasn't able to make it through. I'll finish it tonight. But I tweeted out. Because again, let's go back. We talked about this on the preview show, right? You go all the way back to the Nashville series, and what was the conversation? Oh, this team's going to give the Avs all they can handle. They're going to play physical. They're going to slow them down, come through the neutral zone. They're going to take the speed away. Well, it never really happened, right? St. Louis Blues, it was the same thing, but even more. Oh, they are going to lock the Avs speed down. They're going to shut the speed down. They're going to play heavy on the wall. They're going to never really happen. They weren't ever able to really neutralize that speed. The Oilers, nobody said that. Everyone was like, oh, let's see how fast all these guys can go. Part of the reason why teams have struggled this whole season, and especially in these playoffs, to slow the Avs down. When you talk about a fast team, a lot of the people think rush. Wow, they're really fast off the rush. They transition from defense to offense quickly. Yes, the Avs do that, but they play...
Also true.
Right. But they play fast on the forecheck. They play fast in their own zone on defense. Guys without the puck in the offensive zone play fast and move with speed. they are just a really, really hard team. Like they play with so much speed that you almost can't take it away completely. Because how do you neutralize speed on a forecheck? You know what I mean?
If you go back and look, the Avs' closing speed on the forecheck had a number of errors that they forced out of Tampa because some guy was like, "Oh God, he's on top of me! I have to throw this puck at now," and he
Victor
just like,
Hedman
flipped it up the ice. Yeah,
Logan
Hedman.
O'Connor straight up ate up multiple of their D last night because they were like, they would see him coming, and they would be like, "Okay, I'm gonna make a play," and then he was on top of them, and they were like, "Oh, I didn't make a play."
Well, so dude, I asked someone last night. It was during a Logan O'Connor shift, and I said, "What do you think you have to do to get yourself wired before a game to play the way that Logan O'Connor does on every shift? Like, how do you even mentally get yourself there to be like, cool, every last second my skates are on the ice, my legs are just going to be churning at 1,000 miles an hour.
Yeah.
I'm going to run into everything. I'm going to mix it up with everybody, and I'll go to the net at the end of every whistle." It's like, holy smokes. How do you like, and like, he's the nicest guy too. Like, you talk to him off the ice and you're like, no, this guy seems like a, cool dude. And then you see him out there and his eyes are just like this big on every shift. It's crazy. Like, I don't know. The answer I was given was just like cracks open smelling salts and just like I don't know how else you do it.
I mean, cocaine, but
Yeah, well, like that's the obvious answer.
I'd be
but
willing to
like,
bet he's not sitting there doing a bump off of his glove on the bench.
yeah, just. But I mean, like, his play would make you think that he's
Yeah,
just doing
exactly.
rails. Like,
Yeah,
he's all over the place, man.
yeah, it's so funny.
I love Mountain D.
When he's like locked in like that, he's really fun to watch.
And Jesse, I thought you were bringing it up. What leads to the eventual game-winning goal is Victor Hedman ripping a puck off of Steven Stamkos' skate.
Yep, and what leads to the Nichushkin goal is Victor Hedman kind of panic throwing it up the wall. Great pinch by Kale. But yeah, no, I mean, you're 100% right, Rudo. Like, two big mistakes from Victor Hedman, and then a huge mistake in overtime from Mikhail Sergachev, all because of the forecheck.
Just
all
flips the puck into the neutral zone. He's just like, this 13 is on top of me again. I've got to get rid of it.
Yeah,
just
floats
it out
Russian.
there.
Yeah.
Thank you for the $5, Miss Truly, saying I'm still in my same Nord shirt from yesterday. How are you guys functioning right now?
Just fine.
You get used to it after a while.
There are certain like the high of like, look, I typically, my routine is I will come home and I will rewatch the highlights to kind of get a feel for things, and then I'll go to bed at some point. Last night I went to bed, and while I was in bed, I was still watching the overtime goal over again. And like it's different. It's a cup final win. It is a little bit different. But
which angle did you guys watch the most for the cup final or cup final for the
overtime
winner? Yeah.
What do you mean, which angle?
I watched that one. I want to say it was Tim and Friends who first posted it, but it was like the
from
professional
the
camera in the stands.
Yeah.
And then they're walking down. I watched that one a bunch. That was a unique angle. You don't get a lot of those.
So the angle from Berkey's side of the ice.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like shocked that Andrei Vasilevsky didn't hurt himself trying to get across for that puck.
So let's talk about this. I actually had a delayed react. Like, I saw the puck go in. Andrei Vasilevsky was so uncharacteristically out of position. I thought there was interference in front because I was, I obviously there was chaos in front of the net. You can't really see clearly. But like he thought so for sure that Nichushkin was shooting that. And when he moved that puck back across to Burakovsky, like I seriously, I was like, oh, did he get tangled up with Comfer? Are we going to get a review here? But no, it was just a great play that even the great Andrei Vasilevsky had a hard time tracking. Like,
he just misreads it.
Yeah.
Because last night I went back and watched it a few times too and was like, what the hell is Vasi doing?
Mhm.
Because you watch it, and Nichushkin is looking at Berkey. He's
Yeah.
looking down at the puck, and he's looking at Berkey. He doesn't ever sell that he's going to shoot it. He more or less one-touches that puck. Like, he gives it a touch to settle it, and then
Yeah.
he immediately slings that thing across the ice. He doesn't fake shot. He doesn't sell it. He's not even looking at Vasi.
Right.
And for some reason, Vasi reads that as he's shooting it. He's shooting it.
I wonder.
He's
I
shooting
almost
it. And then,
wonder.
oh God, he
I
didn't
almost
shoot
wonder
it.
if it's just one of those things where, like, if the fact that it was blocked threw him off, if it was just like, find it, there it is, and yeah, like you just said, I'm sure he'll just snap this right on net. Why wouldn't he?
I do wonder, because the goal he gave up to Nuke earlier in the game was pretty soft too.
Yeah.
So I wonder if he looks up and goes, "Oh, that's Nuke. I'm not letting him beat me again."
Right. Yeah, it's interesting.
Like he was like open. He could have shot it, and
Yeah.
I think reading shot there would have made more sense. It's just that when you go and you look at Nuke, he never really puts himself into a shooting position.
Yeah.
And especially when you watch how he looks down at the puck, he looks at Berkey, he one touches it immediately when he gets real control of it. And you're just like, dude, he went all in on,
I mean,
Nuke shooting it. And
to Jesse's point, then, if he had to take the time to find the puck to track it, maybe he just didn't have time to assess Nuke's body position. And it's one of those things where
it happens, and he has a second and a half in real time to process all of this.
Yeah.
I was going to say everything that we're
Fair
talking
enough.
through. It's like, by the way, that all happened in
on my
less than a second.
300th watch of the slow-mo replay. Clearly,
what the hell
an
is
idiot.
he doing?
Yeah.
Oh my God, the bad.
And like, seriously, I mean, I feel like there's been several times this year that we've talked after a game. Pucks that hit shin pads in front of goalies seem to give them more trouble than anything else. Because it's like the ultimate change up. Like, not only did it not come at you the way that you thought it would, it never even got to you. You're not really sure where it is. And then suddenly it is coming through this maze of bodies. So yeah, I mean, I'm like, to your point, I'm sure in real time, he's just trying to locate that thing. But yeah, it is funny when you watch it. And again, like it's Andrei Vasilevsky. Like,
yeah,
you know, you expect there's nobody better in the world at tracking pucks, finding pucks through traffic, his flexibility, his mobility, all that stuff. So that's why I was sitting there and I even like, is this going to count? Because I can't believe that he was that far out of position. And give credit to Burakovsky. I was talking with a couple buddies actually before the game. We were talking about Burakovsky. How that dude, like, he doesn't score ugly goals. He only scores, like, beautiful elbow in, back bar, short side. And, like, that wasn't an ugly goal. But, I mean, like, that was dead center of the net, along the ice. Yeah. And that was just, like, you know, I'm not going to... Right. I'm not going to miss the net. I'm not going to make a mistake. This is going in. And it hit, like, he got all of it. He got everything on the shot he wanted.
Yeah.
You know, hard shot, dead center. Good on him. As good of a play by Nichushkin as it was, you got to finish. And
it's funny. It looks easy when it works like that. And then when a guy like shoots one back into the goaltender, you're like,
right.
How could you do this? You fucking Bob.
Yeah.
and then you see like that finish from Berkey last night, and you're like, God, that's the easiest thing in the world. But you also know, like, guys regularly boof that because the difference between that thing being dead center and right back into him is a quarter of an inch on the release on a one-timer.
If like that.
Yeah, it's like it's just the margin for error in hockey is just like so comically small. Mm-hmm. And it you know, it was cool to see Berkey get it, who I thought was good last night and was not missing the net like a maniac, and it was fun.
Yeah. On that note, we are brought to you by Green Mountain Dental Group. You can go over there and get yourself your teeth taken care of. When you schedule a cleaning, x-ray, and exam with them, you get a free Sonicare toothbrush. So go over there, Go get yourself a dope toothbrush. Make sure you're taking care of your teeth, keeping everything all clean and shiny. So if you get to go to a Stanley Cup parade, you get some good pearly whites to show off at the thing. Highly recommend. Green Mountain Dental Group, just 15 minutes from downtown over in Lakewood. Go check them out. And then go to your local liquor store and get yourself some Breckenridge Brewery beer. Breck Brew, of course, the official beer of DNVR. We got a ton of it down at the bar. You can get it just about anywhere. You can go to breckbrew.com. They have dope merch there as well as a bunch of other things. So head on over to Breck Brew. We're also, if you watch the watch along, we're giving away that mini air hockey table from Breck Brew tomorrow, or Saturday rather, at the bar. So
also giving away those giving away the Avs chains that we were wearing during the game.
Yep, giving away the big honking chains. So
Come
a lot
on
of fun stuff.
Be part of the Swagalanche.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. The whole rest of the series is going to be dope. Anyway, go hit up our sponsors. Third period of the DNVR Avalanche podcast presented by DraftKings Sportsbook.
Can I send us on a teeny tiny little detour here?
Go off, son.
So I just want to talk about the fans last night. What?
Just so Friedman's tweet about tremendous atmosphere.
Yeah.
And Oilers fans specifically took that personally, and we're like, they didn't even sell it out. I'm like, okay.
What? Didn't even sell it out.
Yeah, the arena. They didn't sell it out.
Oh, they definitely did. It was packed standing room only. They didn't because there's 4 sections missing for media.
That didn't all show up, apparently.
Yeah.
A lot of people were really upset about this.
Yeah. It's an NHL requirement. No, you're good. But I was actually going to say something about this because I saw people talking about that. It is an NHL requirement that every arena has a certain number of media seats made available for the Stanley Cup Final. You have to have a certain number of seats available for the conference finals, so on and so forth. So they have to have those seats there by rule. So I get why people were upset, but it was an unbelievable atmosphere in the building. I mean, just crazy energy, super loud. That was one of the loudest I've ever heard it after the Burakovsky goal. So that was awesome inside the arena. You see the videos. Go ahead.
No, finish.
Well, no, I was going to say, you see the videos from the bar. Looked incredible. Packed. I mean, people into the doorway, basically. Not because we would never go against what fire code says ever, but packed to the brim. You look across the street from Ball Arena at the Tivoli Quad. Huge, massive crowd out there. Showed out really, really well. It definitely looked like by the time overtime rolled around, the sun had gone down, the watch party had really filled out. They showed the reaction to the Burakovsky goal in the arena. Looked awesome. And then I don't know if you guys have seen the pictures and videos from McGregor Square, which was completely, it wasn't even a sanctioned watch party. It's just the big TV, near that whole area by Coors Field. And that was packed.
That's been packed. McGregor Square has been packed the entire postseason run.
And it's just awesome. Again, I saw the videos from the Tivoli watch party. It was funny because the camera panned out and you saw that there were large crowds at all 4 screens. And by the end of the night, it had just become one huge crowd. Like I said, the bar was absolutely packed. Looked like it was going bananas. I saw the video we posted. There was a line of people to get in at 3:00 when we unlocked the doors. Dude, it's just, I know there's a lot of people who are doing some gatekeeping about the Avs and, you weren't there and, whatever. First, I understand the group of people who I sat in Ball Arena for every game starting in the 2014 playoffs. I've been at, I think I can count on one hand the number of home games I haven't been in. I sat through some really bad hockey. It's really fun to be watching this. But nobody should be gatekeeping over new fans watching this Avs team. Do you know how much? Like I was seriously like getting emotional last night just watching the videos from the bar, from the watch party, the reaction videos of the crowd inside Ball Arena, the crowd over at McGregor Square. You know, them showing the highlight of the Burakovsky goal at the Rockies game in Coors Field, and the place going nuts, and a "Let's Go Avs" chant breaking out in the middle of the Rockies game. Like, this is so incredible. You know, AJ, you and I talked when we first started. When I first started doing this with you back at the media school, and we said we want to give people the coverage that we always wanted of this team, and not just this team, hockey. Like you go to certain cities, you go to Canada. AJ, you know, you spent a lot of time in Winnipeg. Like, that's everything. It's everything for them up there. Partially because they don't really have anything else. Like in Edmonton, it's the Oilers or the Elks of the CFL. So like, sure, but like, it's awesome to see the Avs be the main event, the main attraction in town. Everybody in the city is behind them. There's flags everywhere. Everyone's honking downtown. There's jerseys, there's t-shirts, there's our merch everywhere. I saw our shirts all over the place near Ball Arena last night. And like I said, it was so awesome to see that it wasn't just in the arena and the people who wanted to be in the arena. Yeah. It was everywhere. It was all over town, and people who aren't normally Avs fans are all over the place. Sorry, but yeah, it's just see, I saved you. It was intentional. It was just awesome to see, man. And like, this is something that this team has been building towards for 2 decades. And it's amazing to see the whole city getting behind him. And seriously, if you're a longtime Avs fan, invite your friends over to your house to watch the game who haven't been Avs fans. I saw someone tweeting at the DNVR Broncos guys saying, if it wasn't for you guys pumping up this Avs game on the show, I wouldn't have watched. And what an incredible game. I'm going to be glued to the TV for the rest of them. Hannah, last night, she asked me what time the game was, and I said 6. She goes, damn. I was like, what? She goes, well, there's some other stuff I want to do, but I can just do it tomorrow, I guess. Like, my fiance, she's a sports fan, she likes hockey, but like, moved her schedule around to be able to sit and watch the whole game last night. Like, I just love this dude. Like, this is a sport that the girl with
I just hope both teams have fun.
Yeah,
shirt.
right. move things around to be able to watch the game. And she's texting me throughout the game, and like, this sport, dude, like, it is consumed my life since I was 5 years old. And it's just so fun to see people understanding why.
It's super weird getting texts from my wife last night with like jokingly telling me, I thought the 2-goal lead was the safest lead in hockey. And it's like, okay, if she's making these jokes, it's serious out here.
Right.
Like, I did not grow up in Texas with friends who cared about sports even a little bit. Mm-hmm. And like, my 2 best friends from childhood both message me after every single game. Like, yeah. And one of them has gotten their girlfriend into it to the point where she's like regularly like, we're not making plans, the Avs are playing. And it's like, yes.
Well, and dude, like, I saw all kinds of people wearing the Western Conference champs shirts last night. And they were selling them all around the arena, outside the arena, all that stuff. So, like, it's one of those things that you see, and it's like, oh, you can tell that that's a new fan. And, like, that's fucking awesome. That's awesome. Yep. Again, I sat in Ball Arena, AJ and I, up in the press box on nights in the 16-17 season where I don't care what they were saying, there was fewer than 5,000 people in that arena. Like,
where the press box might have been the most densely populated group of people.
Right. There was a weekday Florida Panther game that I got to know someone who was part of the bar staff in the arena. And the bar staff, the morning of the game, I think it's like right after morning skate, they get the number of tickets sold. Here's what we're expecting. It's for staffing purposes. And I was down there talking to him, and he goes, dude, I have. And he goes, now these numbers change a little bit the closer we get to game time. He goes, I've right now got fewer than 5,000 tickets they're expecting back tonight. And again, that number changes, so I'm sure it got over the 5K, but like there were a lot of weekday nights where you were talking 5 to 10,000 people inside Ball Arena, just there because they liked it, just like they liked hockey and the tickets were cheap or whatever. And like last night, the standing room only was 3-4 rows deep everywhere. You could tell that a couple of the standing rooms were like the late tickets made available because it was empty all during warmups, then it filled up right as game time was starting. Just a huge buzz all around the arena. People, the line was backed up to get in at 4 p.m. 2 hours to go until puck drop. I would say 75% of the people were in their seats during warmups. It's just so fun to be around this. It's surreal, honestly, to see this city acting real. Like this. Seriously, they won game 1 of the Stanley Cup Finals, and I'm walking out of the arena last night like, holy smokes, I can't believe this. I can't believe that we're leaving a game. It was June 15th, and I'm leaving a game last night. Like, man, I still didn't feel like they're in the Cup Finals, and it's so awesome to see, man. It's so awesome to see this city embracing them like this. It's awesome.
I mean, it's the exact same thing that built a whole generations of fans in the late 90s, right?
So
where we all came from.
Yeah.
I want, once this series is over, I want to talk about that. We'll come back to that once all of this is wrapped up. That's something I want to make sure we hit on.
It's on deck.
$5 more from Miss Truly saying, I'm a quote unquote new fan. Don't gatekeep me. I'm spreading the fire to get everyone on board. Yes.
Seriously.
I would say come down to the bar, but the bar is like blood sport right now.
Yeah,
so.
you might have to fight tooth and nail for a spot in the bar on Saturday.
Maybe wait for the renovations and the reopening and all that, and we'll see everybody next year. But like all the people that are like, oh, I was at Tivoli and this and that, like I want to see all your asses down at the bar at some point in the next year.
Yeah, no, seriously. I mean, and honestly, I genuinely mean that. Like, I've already told 2 or 3 people, because it was the same thing. Like, I got texts last night. And the other fun thing is like the people that don't watch hockey. This is how you can tell that the Avs are a very good team, and the Lightning as well. I got a text from a dude last night that I used to work with. Love the guy. He's a huge sports fan, but he's not really into hockey. Hockey was just never his thing. And he's sending me text last night. He's like, holy shit, man. Like, I don't know this sport a lot, but like the players on the Avs just seem better than all the other like hockey players that I've seen. I was like, well, yeah, you're not far off on that.
Cue Drew Doughty's. How does this team have so many pretty good players?
Yeah. And so the guy I was talking to, he's a big basketball fan. He's a huge, massive Milwaukee Bucks fan. And I told him, I was like, here's the best way I can kind of equate it. I was like, if you put the best 5 Avs players on the ice, it'd be kind of like you had 2 Giannis's and 3 Middletons out there. Like, that's really like the caliber that these guys are at the high end.
The occasional Drew. Yeah.
Right. And I told him, I was like, dude, get down to the watch party. I told him, I was like, you should go down to the bar. Like you said, it's kind of tough to get in there right now, but like, if you have friends, family that aren't really into it, get them into it, get them a shirt, take them down to a watch party, wherever it is. And just keep getting more people into this, because I can't wait to see what it's like next year. Cause a lot of people are finally getting a taste of how good this team is. On the biggest stage, and I can't wait to see what it's like next year, and the hopeful support that they've got as a carryover. But it was awesome to watch last night. All the stuff just going on around the city.
It is very cool. It is very fun to be a part of, and we have this really cool like link to it because we have a place.
Yeah.
I mean,
yep.
Like last night after the game. Rudo and I are sitting upstairs kind of decompressing after the lights go off and everything, and people are coming upstairs to say hi to us, and I ended up staying like a full hour after the post-game pod ended just to talk with people who had flown in from, there was a guy from Europe, there was one from Ontario. Like I think there were 2 from Ontario, and
Yep.
it was really crazy. Where it's just like, this is the intensity of of what's going on right now. Is that these guys are like, people are coming from all around the world to watch the games here, and then to go to these watch parties, not just obviously at DNVR,
Right.
but at Tivoli, at
Mhm.
McGregor Square, places where they're like, look, I want to experience this with the most passionate people, with
Yeah.
with other Avs fans, and it's really a
It's very much a community thing.
it's awesome to see. It's awesome to be a part of. It's been a lot of fun, and I'm thrilled that we have people in our chat who have been around since '96. We've got,
sure, yeah.
at least I saw one comment in here about a guy being an old Rockies fan
Nice. Yeah.
before they were the baseball team, and we've got people who are new fans, and I think that's so cool, and I just wish, I genuinely wish the bar was bigger, and we could
Right.
just be like, all of you guys, stop what you're doing and come
Get
to the
in
bar,
here.
damn it.
Yeah.
Well, so
the
Ruda, you
footage
just mentioned
from the Rockies game was actually awesome.
it was really cool.
That was so
really
cool,
cool. Ruda, you just mentioned like it's a community thing. I wrote about it at some point. I don't remember. But so my family moved to Denver in 1994. I was 2 years old. So 2 years before 1 year before the Avs arrived. And we moved from a place that didn't have professional sports teams. They have 2 Division I schools, and their sports programs are atrocious. And they didn't really have, they don't have anything else. And that was something my mom, I remember talking about when I was little, watching that first cup run for the Avs. She said, this is so cool. They represent the community and where we live, like on a national stage. And she said, like, I feel like they represent me, like when they represent the state and the city. And I just remember her like marveling at that and thinking how cool it was. And that was part of what like got us into it right away. It was like, here's this team that we feel is like, it, they go out to, Florida, and they're representing all the Denver sports fans back in Colorado. And that's the other thing. Denver sports fans do not get anywhere near enough love. Now, you can call them, I hear people call them fair weathered, whatever. If there is an event, if there is something to show up to, Colorado sports fans show up, and they're loud and they're rowdy and they're into it. They're engaged. They're smart sports fans. And it's just, it's been super fun to watch, just watch them show up. Again, I don't know if anybody else could have fit in the bar last night. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like you said, only way more people get in there is if it's physically, if the building is physically expanded.
I do think it's funny when people call Denver sports fans fair weathered, because they have 3 attendance records in 3 major pro sports. And you're like, oh, you have a sellout streak in the NHL. You have the most fans who have ever, the highest single season attendance in MLB history. And then the Broncos have sold out every game since like 1960, 1970. You're like, that's like multiple generations of people.
Are they technically correct because Denver just has a bunch of really good weather always?
Just always fair weather.
It is quite fair.
So sorry that our city has better weather than yours, I guess.
This is so true right here. Like, go to any sports city that features more than one pro team, and you always are going to get a bigger turnout for
the one playing well.
For the one that's playing well, that's making a run, that's going deep.
Yep. That's just sports.
Yeah.
$5 from Will. I was born in 1995. My dad is a diehard Broncos fan. And when the Avs won, my dad said, I've waited my whole life to be a champ, and this baby already is.
That's great.
Didn't take long for you, Will.
Yeah. And the Avs have sold out 2 outdoor games.
Sup? And an alumni game.
And an alumni game.
That was a fun day.
I-
That's the
I
game
went-
that I cared about them winning.
I went to the alumni game for the Toronto Maple Leafs and Detroit Red Wings. It was not sold out. Abs fans packed Coors Field to watch a bunch of retired hockey players play at 50% speed and Patrick Waugh play at 200%.
I need to know, Jesse, because I asked this question to AJ the other night. How old do you think Chris Chelios is?
Well, he was 70 when he retired, so I mean, he's got to be pushing 60, right?
He is 60.
He's 60 exactly.
He is 60. Yeah.
We thought low 50s. We were.
The camera makeup does good work.
Yeah.
This was because someone was talking about Chris Chelios last night, and this is one of my favorite little trivias. Do you know the last NHL team Chris Chelios played for?
I think it's the Thrashers, right?
The Atlanta Thrashers. After being traded by the Grand Rapids Griffins to whoever the hell was, I think it was the Atlanta Gladiators.
Yeah, that sounds
He was then called up for, I think, 7 games to finish out his illustrious career at the Atlanta Thrashers. There's a lot of people that have different opinions on like when guys should retire, and like there's some of the people that like love when the guy just plays all the way to the end.
It's weird to me that other people have strong opinions about when guys need to hang it up.
Well, it's just like Chris Chelios is just always one that's interesting for me because like dude's a Hall of Famer, had a great career, and it is just always weird to be like, oh, like I got traded by an AHL team near the end.
It is kind of sad when you get to that point.
Right. You listen to there's a 30 for 30 podcast about Ricky Henderson and how he was playing for an independent league baseball team in San Diego like 8 years after he'd last appeared in the majors. And how he was just like, look, I just love to play. That's what I was meant to do in this world. I'm going to do it until I can't, because once I stop, you can never go back. And respect the guys that want to keep doing that. Respect.
Totally.
The ones who have had their fill, and they say, Andrew Lucks of the world and Barry Sanders, guys like that, like the ones that are just like, hey, I'm out. Respect. It's their call.
It is their call, but that's what makes it kind of sad when you see the players that go as long as Chelios do, is they want to keep going, but teams won't give them a job, whether justified or not, doesn't matter. It's just unfortunate.
Yager still playing is not sad because he's still super effective in like the Czech 1 league.
Yeah.
And he's like well into his 50s, and he owns the team. He's Jackie Moon. He's like full on Jackie Moon in the Czech Republic. Last thing that I've got for last night, we're over an hour. I had a Elliot Friedman, Sportsnet 32 Thoughts was real close to me. And dude, he was jamming to Bob O'Reilly coming into the third, and he was fully singing along to All the Small Things. One of the better All the Small Things last night. And then remember from Blink 182 up on the big board, Cue It Up. It was pretty cool.
It's not quite the band being there to play it, but
not quite
pretty close.
But they dabbled. Yeah, they dabbled. It was we don't see the Avs do a lot of stuff like that.
Yeah.
So it was cool to see them like
lean in a little bit,
acknowledge their fan base, and actually do something cool for them.
Yeah.
That does not immediately result in them making money. Yeah. It was actually cool when people were tweeting out that Mark Hoppus came on the big board and brought them into All the Small Things.
Mm-hmm.
I saw somebody in our chat ask earlier how we felt about them playing it during a tie game. I don't give a shit. They could play it 15 seconds into period 1, and I'd be happy with it.
I honestly,
the point of the tradition.
Right. And I honestly liked it because I felt like it kind of re-energized the building. You were halfway through a tied game. In the third period, it was kind of tense. That happened, and you just kind of felt the place loosen up. And I actually thought it kind of reflected in the Avs a little bit. The crowd got back into it. They were loud again. They were chanting. They were cheering. Like I said, it was a great showing on national TV for the way that, the song actually sounded. And it did. It seemed to kind of breathe some new life into the building that I thought translated to a little bit of success. We should probably just bail out of here because
the porn bots are taking over at this point.
And someone either just broke into my house or Hannah came home unexpectedly.
Well,
it was Hannah. All right. I was like, well, this may be my last sign off.
About to get murdered live on air. All right. Any final thoughts, AJ?
Great hilarity. Great for the ratings.
I was going to say, everyone would hear of our show now.
What a sacrifice, Jesse. A true team player.
Can't wait for our investigation ID show that we get.
Oh my God.
Just make sure to mention this show at my funeral.
All right.
Feels inevitable at that point, right?
Yeah. Just give a nice plug, like whichever one of you does the eulogy, and Monday through Friday, 1 p.m. you can catch the DNVR Avalanche show every week. Thank you for coming.
We're getting out of here on that note. Thank you, everyone, for listening today. We will be back tomorrow. Hang loose on tomorrow's show. We're doing something. Time might not be 1 o'clock. It might be 1 o'clock. We'll keep you updated on Twitter.
Yeah, we will see just how things go tomorrow. It'll either be a really cool show or we don't know what we're doing.
Yep, one of the two. So either way,
it'll definitely be a really cool show, no matter what, because we're 3 really cool people.
All right, I definitely believe Jesse. Let's get out of here. We love you. Goodbye.